how do we see miracle healings in this work? When people go, I tried every diet, I've done every stool test, I've got tested for SIBO.
I know when I was practicing and seeing my patients, that was always first and top of mind for me as a practitioner, was to get at, okay, what is that root cause?
What the thing that's not allowing you to be present is you living in your head. But why do you live in your head? It's because the pain in your body has been there for so long. We need spaciousness. We need spaciousness. To release emotions, we need spaciousness.
Okay, I would love to welcome in Dr. Christian Gonzalez, also known as Dr. G, who completed his doctorate in naturopathic medicine at the University of Bridgeport College of Naturopathic Medicine in 2014. So yes, a fellow naturopathic doctor, which I love the fact that we've got more of us out here on social media. Now, Dr. G is also the host of the Top 40 health show, Heal Thyself, and is the founder of ELM Health. He is a leader in emotional and trauma healing. And of course, that's what we're going to be talking a little bit about with Dr. G today. He has been featured in countless media outlets, including the Today Show, MSN, the LA Times, Shape, and so many more. So welcome on in, Dr. Gonzalez. Thank you for joining me today on the Doctor Janine podcast. I'm so honored to be able to speak with you today and to ask you some very pointed questions, of course, all about how our emotions affect our overall health. Welcome on in.
Welcome to me. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate that intro, Doc. It's really beautiful to have another naturopathic doctor on the other side of the screen. This doesn't always happen, as we were talking about online or offline. A lot of us, love being kind of in our little brick and mortar caves. And
yes,
we need to get in front of the camera. We need more personality. We need more pizzazz. We need more vibes. So thank you so much for having me in.
Yes, thank you. I'm so honored to have you here. And like I said, making that connection between our emotions and, of course, what happens with our overall health in our physical body, I think is very much missed, definitely in mainstream medicine and certainly even sometimes in naturopathic medicine. And that's what had sort of drew me to you when seeing you in social media for a few years now and following your content, the fact that you are able to make that connection. And I'm guessing not only for yourself, but of course for the people that you work with, your patients as well, which is something that I used to do as a naturopath. And I think that's a little bit rare. I think, not every practitioner is always going to delve into that mind-body connection. So you're a special guy in the way that you practice.
Thank you. And we need to be doing that more. Any practitioner out there. For me, the way that I look at things is the first question should be what is the psychosomatic state of this client or patient in front of me? Downstream, looking at the diagnosis, right? But upstream, trying to understand or get a feel. And a patient will tell all of this if you give them space and safety. They'll tell and they'll reveal what is behind their disease. And it's a skill that doctors are usually missing. We definitely don't teach it in school. It's something that is fundamental to human healing. Fundamental.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And, let's backtrack a little bit. How did you first get into naturopathic medicine? What made you think, okay, this is something that I want to pursue as a career?
I was at the University of Minnesota. I wanted to be a dentist, and
Wow.
I was going to be an orthodontist. I was
Really?
ready, and I did about a year and a half there, and I was learning about teeth. And shout out to dentists and orthodontists, but I realized how boring it was. I'm like, what am I doing? Why? I mean, my teeth are great, but what am I doing? And simultaneously, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer when I was there in school, in the end of my first year.
Oh my
And
goodness.
that sort of is you're on this, you're cruising on this road with a destination, and then there's just this major detour in construction or road work. And that detour brings you down this other path because ultimately I began to see how, I never experienced anyone with cancer, and I began to see how cancer was treated. And I was really disappointed about the lack of nutrition in cancer care. Really disappointed. So I was like, whoa, what do you mean? At least I had a fundamental knowledge back then of at least nutrition. I was
Yes.
always into eating healthy and working out. And that's when that took that detour. And over the span of 4 to 6 months, everything changed, and I decided I don't belong in this field. I belong learning more about what drives cancer. What are the drivers of cancer? So at the same time, I learned about naturopathic medical school. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't even know what naturopathic medicine was, and it was sort of a divine intervention where I was reading this book, and I was on the flight, and actually my mom had me read this book. She said, "Can you look at this diet? They say it's good for cancer." I said, "Okay, let me see." And it said ND on the front, and I was just in awe. How can the editors be so negligent to not put MD and mistake the letter on the front cover?
Oh my
And
goodness.
I'm on this plane, kind of just scoffing at this book. I'm like, I can't believe they made such a mistake. What a mess these people are doing. And then I opened the front cover, and it gives a description about this author, and it said naturopath. I said naturopath. Oh, so they meant to put ND. And at the
Uh-huh.
time, I didn't have a smartphone, so I got out of I ran to the cab. I didn't even have a, a luggage or anything I only had a carry on, and I got in the cab and I went straight home, and it was like 11:30 at night, and I remember just researching everything about naturopathic medicine,
Wow.
and I actually had this rush of energy flow through me, and I got intuition tattooed on my wrist the next day because it reminded me of the power of intuition, and that's what sort of opened up that understanding that there's more to medicine, and this medicine was very much so in alignment with my soul.
Wow. What an amazing story. I didn't know your story and how similar it
Hmm.
is to my own. So I'll share that with you another time. But my story is like almost identical to your own. I was studying to become an eye doctor, not a dentist, but an eye doctor.
Ah.
And yeah, and I learned about naturopathic medicine and switched courses, and it had to do, and my
Hmm.
mom was also diagnosed with cancer. Like, it's uncanny what our, how similar our stories are. So, oh my goodness.
Wow.
So we'll,
And now we're
we'll
in front of the camera.
I know, right? This is so cool. So, anyways, well, that's how divine intervention works, right? That we connect with like-minded people, and I think our greater mission here, and that's why we're having this conversation, is to help and to open up people's minds to, delving a little bit deeper. I know when I was practicing and seeing my patients, that was always first and top of mind for me as a practitioner, was to get at, okay, what is that root cause? No, it's not a vitamin deficiency most times. No, it's not, lack of dietary good choices, lack of exercise. What is that deeper, root cause? And that's my next question. How do our emotions affect our health? What do you see day in, day out with your patients? Maybe give us some examples as well. How is this, and why is this, connection between our emotions and our physical body so important?
The emotions that are not expressed are the very things that are, I believe, the root of making you sick. And I say that because if if we're in the embodiment of our authentic expressed self without fear and truly being who we are, that gives the most amount of rest to our nervous system, the most amount of permission for our nervous system to say you're safe. Anything opposite than that begins to contract and makes the nervous system inflexible and less resilient. And when we think about how important the nervous system is to all human health, and the interplay between the nervous system and the immune system, and definitely our hormones, and definitely inflammation, then we start thinking about, whoa, like every single disease falls under that, right?
Yeah.
And we are so quick to start looking for everything outside of us because we're so scared to look at that which is in our bodies. And we actually develop these personalities that we identify so deeply with, and we move to our head and we live in that personality, we live in that identity, instead of allowing ourselves to come into our body and actually feel what's there. And oftentimes the reason the ego is leaving us in our head, living there so much, and really in that cyclic way of thinking, of believing who we think we are, is because it perceives the pain in the body to be so painful that we're going to die. And that's the exact reason why we see addiction. That's the exact reason why we see anxiety. On some parts, yes, that's the exact reason why we see depression, compulsive disorders, anything that doesn't serve you with your mental health. oftentimes is rooted in your ego desperately holding you in your head versus allowing you to feel safe in your own body. Now imagine what it feels to feel safe in your own body. We've
Mm,
had moments like this. We've had moments like this. We've had moments where we went parasympathetic, where we're just relaxed and we feel so good and we feel actually happy for the first time in a long time, or actually creative, actually in love for the first time in a long time. That's because you're allowing your nervous system to expand and be the embodiment of who you are. But oftentimes, people, that's few and far between. That's maybe once a week, maybe, or in those one, or maybe on the weekends when you're really just present and enjoying yourself. What the thing that's not allowing you to be present is you living in your head. But why do you live in your head? It's because the pain in your body has been there for so long. And there's an intelligence in the body. It will sacrifice authenticity for safety. So if you're a kid and you grow up in a household that is not safe, then it stands to believe that you're not going to be expressing those emotions that are not safe. Because one, maybe your dad or mom are embodying those emotions that are destructive, that are negative. Or maybe you've been told, hey, you're a big girl or a big boy, you don't do this anymore. Those emotions or those parts of you that are not allowed to be expressed unequivocally become repressed and held in the body in order for you to survive. That's a biological imperative. We have to survive.
mm,
We live to, we're kids. It's one, it's our fault. We live in shame, right? We don't understand. We don't go, oh, this is generational trauma. This is something that my dad is holding in or my mom is holding in. And they weren't allowed to do this. And women in this world and men in this world and all these social. No, we just believe it's us and we begin to hold those parts of us. We learn, we begin to develop this contracted, repressed personality around the age of 7. And we only get revalidations throughout our life that I'm lovable when I'm this part of me. And we begin to be contracting and filtering deep the parts of us that are only lovable and receive adoration and attention. And we begin to be more of that. And those dark parts of us that are not lovable, we hold in. The reason why we're sick is because those dark parts that we believe are not lovable are still in our bodies. That's why.
mm, mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, that's powerful. And I think people might have to rewind and listen to that a few times to really take it in. If it's the first time that you're hearing something, as such that, yeah, it makes sense that our childhood, and it's not always childhood things, I think, but anything that you've sort of squeezed away and packaged and put away because you couldn't deal with it, whether it was consciously or unconsciously, right? So suppressed or repressed emotions, it definitely has the ability to have, a root cause for developing issues in your body, issues in the tissues, as we say, right?
Issues in the tissues. Yeah, for sure. And if, look, we think about it, it's like, okay, well, I have strep throat. And I get it every year. What does that have to do with repressed emotions? Well, maybe you might be susceptible to infection, but the question is, why are you still susceptible to infection over and over and over? What's happening in your immune system? Psychoneuroimmunology, your immune system is affected by your nervous system, was affected by your psychological state. But they messed up. They shouldn't call it just psychoneuroimmunology. It should be called somatic psychoneuroimmunology, because the
Uh-huh.
somatic state is informing your psychological state, right? We have to think about that. Your somatic, why? Because the ego, again, is pulling you up into this consciousness. So you're continuously in your head, having looping thoughts, looking at the past, looking at the future. You can't be present if you don't have a connection with your body. So we think about there's on some level, if you look at a pie graph, it could be a little sliver, 5% in the body or 95% in the body. There's
Mm,
many diseases. I mean, how do we see miracle healings in this work? Is
uh-huh.
because when people go, I tried every diet, I've done every stool test, I've got tested for SIBO, I've done every protocol, every herbal antibiotic, every probiotic, right?
Right.
Okay, and
Yeah.
you've seen every functional naturopathic doctor. What's happening, right? The truth of the matter is that particular person that I'm thinking about just had a ton of anger stuck in the stomach, and it was in the fascial tissue, and it was distorted, and it was over the liver. And until that person felt safe enough, one with me, and
Mm-hmm.
two with herself, to allow herself to drop into her body, the body didn't show her what was there. And then
Uh,
ultimately, when she did allow herself to come there, what happened? The somatic experience of anger began to take over. The face got red, she started sweating, and then I was able to lead her through that process of releasing that. IBS never came back again. SIBO
Amazing.
never came back again. Gut
Yeah.
issues don't come back again. She's pooping again. But this is it. You see this with full body eczema. I've seen this with cancer. Knock on wood, she's still in remission. You see this with thyroid issues. You see this with pain. Is probably one of the most potent ones that we see.
Mm.
Chronic pain since I was 13, an injury that I've had and it never went away. That wasn't the injury. It was
Yeah.
it was the guilt that you had for something that happened when you were 13 with your parents. It wasn't the injury that we believe ourselves to be. No, it's the injury. No, no, no. It's the pain and the guilt that was held in this person's lower back. So
Mm.
big picture is we can't do health without at least asking what's in the body.
Right.
That we can't
Right.
stop at just being physically oriented, and we definitely can't stop at being mentally oriented. We have to take it a step further and go, okay, what's happening in the body?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for people that are listening to this or watching us, what's a takeaway? Like if I'm watching and let's say I've got something going on, I've been diagnosed with something, right? And mainstream or even natural medicine hasn't been able to help me up until this point. What's a takeaway, Dr. G? What is something that I can do, besides coming and seeing you in California and having a session? What can I do right now for myself to help myself to at least, start to pinpoint or get some clues as to why I'm not well?
You have to take time, right? Like, so what I mean by that is a lot of us take time to meditate. I love it. Meditation is beautiful, but you're connecting to the spirit world. You're leaving your body, right? You're in the ethereal. You're touching fingers with God. That's beautiful. But what are you doing with your own body? Because if you're meditating and leaving your body, well, you got to be equally as meditating and going into your body.
Uh-huh.
So if you're not meditating and allowing yourself to close your eyes and at least breathe into your body and feel your body and have a sensation of, whoa, my this is how my body feels on the floor or on a mat or on a bed, and then moving that to like, where am I holding tension in the body? You're going to notice that you're holding tension in your body.
Right.
Because we're so good at surviving. The ego's so good that sometimes we don't even know we're in pain until we stop and then we drop in our bodies and we go, oh my God, I'm actually in pain. My knee, what am I doing walking?
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
we need to actually have that experience of going, am I in pain? Am I in tension? The more that you begin to drop into your body and visit that tension, or just visit your body in general, the body's like a super intelligent, sophisticated mechanism that has a consciousness but doesn't trust you but it always will have a trust for you.
Mm.
It's never severed fully. If I always talk about like a bridge between the body and in the head, even if the bridge has just a few steps and it's rusty and the ropes are hanging out, it still never falls apart. You can always repair that connection because it's
Mm-hmm.
you.
Right.
So when we allow ourselves to drop into our body, we begin to develop and strengthen that connection. That's important because now when you're in your waking life and walking around, you're able to check in with your body and quicker get answers that you need. You see, a lot of us are like, well, I don't know what to do about X, Y, and Z. It's because we're living in the ego. The ego will never know what to do. This
Right.
is why we stay in therapy for so long, is because we keep talking about our problems. The body doesn't care about your story. It doesn't care about the details of your story. It doesn't care about the who, what, where, when, and how. The
Mm.
body only cares, are you allowing yourself to express, one, maybe the rage that needed to come out that never came out, or the sadness, or the guilt, or the fear, or the shame, or the sexual repression? All of these emotions that were never allowed, that's what the body cares about. So it's not about talking about it. It's not about putting logic into it. It's allowing yourself to drop into your body and go, what's true for me in this moment? Do I want to eat at this restaurant potatoes, or do I want to eat ravioli? Right? What's true for me?
Right.
Because if the answer in your head is, no, I haven't had ravioli, and when I was a kid, I loved it, and it tastes so good to me, and I really love tomato sauce. Like, what's true for your body? Your body
Right.
might not want ravioli. Body might not want potatoes. It might want broccolini. You see what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we have to
Yeah.
drop into our bodies and allow our bodies to dictate not only what we're eating, but the people that we're with. You will get your answer if you're in the right relationship the more you do this practice. Because
Uh-huh.
very quickly, when you drop into your body, you're going to be like, oh my God, the integrity of who I know that I am and I've connected to doesn't want to be here. What am I doing to myself? You begin to show up for yourself more and
Uh-huh.
stop abandoning yourself and people pleasing others.
And isn't that empowering? I mean, empowerment over your own mind, body, spirit that's healing right
Hmm.
there, right? Okay, I have
Hmm.
another
It's the
question.
most healing.
Yeah, what? Absolutely. We hear so many people, and I'm sure you see on social media all the time, this whole thing about gut health issues, the gas, the bloating. Is there some commonality into why people chronically have gut health issues?
Yeah, especially from the emotional context, absolutely. Um, because I like talking about the emotional context in the gut because we've talked so much about the gut and fiber. We've talked so much about the gut, prebiotics, postbiotics, right? We sort of have put this in the consciousness so much. People are aware. People aren't very aware of the implication of the gut, the brain access into the enteric nervous system. That's the nervous system of your gut, and the nervous system of your gut is that of a small dog. It's very much so. It can almost act independently with digestion. The vagus nerve will have a role, but it could still pretty much independently act for digestion. That's crazy. You have the consciousness of a small animal in your stomach. So there is a direct and indirect connection between the state of our gut and the state of our brain. We know that, right? We know it's connected from the vagus nerve. It's bilateral communication. Most of 80% of the communication is coming up from the gut to the brain, 20% from the brain to the gut, but they're still in close proximity with each other. But not only that, the bacteria in our gut, right, or the whole microbial population, the microbiota, is sending out signals, or different proteins that are actually sensed by the nerves in the enteric nervous system. That's the indirect way. The gut bacteria is actually sending out those signals. The enteric nervous system is transducing those signals and then talking to the vagus nerve, and it's going back up to the head. So when you're in an emotional state that is in contraction, or an emotional state that is the opposite of your authentic expression every single day when you go to work or when you're in a relationship, a lot of that contraction is being manifested in the disruption of your gut. Oftentimes the emotion that is directly connected to gut issues is anger or fear. Anger or fear. And we think about it, right? Like, okay, when you're angry, you're sort of clenching your fist, and what's one of the first things you do? You suck in your stomach, right?
Yeah.
You're kind of bracing for something.
Yes.
That contraction is continuous. Usually, people who are people pleasers and have gut issues are not breathing well because their stomach is so sucked in. So we start thinking about, oh my God, I'm viewing or listening to this podcast. Wait a minute, that's me. I
Yeah.
have gut issues.
Yeah.
My stomach is usually sucked in. I'm a people pleaser. You might have a volcano worth of anger inside of you. The
Uh-huh.
same goes with fear. You know, when we're scared, a lot of us people, we have to go to the bathroom, right? Our stomach is we have all these butterflies. It's the
Yeah.
same thing. It's manifesting here. The powerlessness, the fear, the anger, all are usually in the gut. I haven't ever seen really sadness come from the gut. That's usually up higher in the chest and the heart,
Yeah.
usually around the throat. But my God, the amount of anger that people hold in their stomach. And I would actually challenge some of you. The more you connect to your body, connect to the tension, feel your body, how deep it is, how much tension you have. You may begin to connect and ask your body, what do you need from me, or what emotion is here? And don't think about it. Let your body show you in the first 2 seconds. It might not even make sense, right? Let your body show you. And then you maybe, can I allow this part of me really to be here? And if you allow that anger to be there, guess what? Your body has now permission to start getting hot, for you to start clenching your teeth, to start making a fist. And then it's up to you. Can you move away from that identity that you believe yourself to be, to express, to scream, to put up your mouth to a pillow and fully let out from your stomach all of that anger over and over? I've seen women who weren't allowed to express anger all their lives,
Yeah.
and are good wives and good coworkers and people pleasers and smiling. I've seen them rage. They look like wild women of the jungle. Their hair's a
Wow.
mess. They got boogers. They got drool. They don't care where their makeup is, and the whole house is shaking.
Wow.
That is the typical woman. That's the typical woman. How much a woman is holding in.
Yeah. Well, that's powerful. I know a lot of women's minds are blown right now and they're like, "Okay, yep, got some work to do." Right? And especially if it's tied back to your gut health issues and the gas and bloating, which is not about the probiotics. And like we said, right?
At some point.
Yeah, at some point. And it could be correlated. Absolutely. That's not what we're
Mhm.
saying. But at the same time, yeah, you've got to ask the deeper questions of that connection for yourself. What have you been holding on to and allowing it, like you said? Another question about emotional eating. Do you have any tips? Because I know a lot of people eat for the wrong reasons. And how does that tie back to this whole connection with the enteric nervous system? And what are the triggers? And do you have any pointers for, men and women that are emotional eaters?
Yeah, look, I myself had struggled with addiction for a long time, right? And it wasn't drug addiction, it was actually sex addiction. But that sex addiction years before was emotional eating when I was a kid. And
Really?
it was
Yeah.
because of my own household that I grew up in where I felt very unsafe. But what happens is this: when we're children and we're in a household that's unsafe, and we're not allowed to express who we are, truly to express our own anger if it needs to come up, or sadness if it needs to come up, that emotion or that energy still needs to come out. It can't just be held in like that. It would make us very sick and we die very fast. We need to express that energy. So oftentimes it comes out as a compensation. This is very much so relatable. There's people who actually are people pleasers. They're so sweet, and people have said, Jane is the nicest person in the world. She's so sweet, right? And she's
Yeah.
identified, I'm a nice person. I'm sweet. I get
Yeah.
more love for this, right? But then when Jane is angry, she can't be angry because it's not part of the part of her that's gotten her love. Well, oftentimes the compensation is in that energy of people pleasing, especially for people who aren't allowed to show the anger. But it's not just people pleasing. The compensation can also be running to your room and opening your books and studying, and then all of a sudden becoming a schoolaholic, and then that person becomes a workaholic. And
Ah,
that's probably one of the most dangerous compensations, because we reward that in society. We go, you're a
right.
great student, you're a great worker, you're so successful, that person, when they feel anger, runs away with work or
Right.
runs away with school when they're younger. The same person, and I don't know why the differences is, because I've seen them in family units. Three siblings have three different compensations, but the same person, or in a siblings, can also manifest that as eating, because they may feel safe. So
Right.
instead of them expressing the anger, and they're not running to do homework, or they're not running to people please with mom or dad, they're actually going to the refrigerator or the pantry, and they're just nibbling on some food, right? And,
Right.
and they're going, okay, now this is self-soothing.
Uh-huh.
Now my nervous system is balanced. I don't have to express the anger because I can get it out doing this. It's not a logical process. It's just an inherent natural flow. Maybe it's probably an epigenetic thing, um, with a genetic basis, but this is what we see.
Right.
Now, we don't remember that we've compensated because we've done it for so long that it's
Uh-huh.
become part of our personality. So
Right.
the guy who's a CEO goes, I'm a workaholic. I've always been like this. I've been really studious. I've got great grades. But that person never understood that maybe, just maybe, they're compensated when they were younger and forgot about it. And it's true, right? So the same
Right.
person who
Yeah.
goes, I'm a sweet person. I've always been a nice person. People always say I'm sweet. Well, maybe you are sweet, but maybe you're not as sweet as you think you are. And
Yeah.
maybe the person who emotionally eats is maybe not stuck in this process. So what I'm trying to say is this: the answer for addiction, especially in emotional eating, isn't in sitting down and talking to another person. I promise you that.
Right.
That may help, but the answer is not there.
No.
The answer is in you dropping to your body and allowing yourself to feel all those emotions that led to that compensation of emotional eating. For me, when it came to the sexual addiction that I had years ago, was three deep emotions. It was deeply rooted grief after my mom passed away that I never allowed myself to express. It was deeply rooted in guilt that I put on myself for my own mom's death. And it was deeply rooted shame growing up religious and having a distorted relationship with sexuality. If I didn't go through those three emotions, who knows what I'd be addicted to? So
Right.
what I'm trying to say is, if you're with addiction, it doesn't matter the type of addiction. It could be emotional eating, it could be drugs, it could be sex addiction. The answer is not in more talking. I promise you. It's not in more rehab. It's in you allowing yourself to feel safe with yourself enough to allow your body, not think about that moment when it happened, but allow your body to just begin to feel safe enough to let out all of the pain that you're holding in. There's your answer.
That's very powerful. And thank you, because I know that's going to help a lot of people that listen or watch this podcast. You know, it's something that maybe they've never heard this information before, right? And it's that, yeah, a lot of light bulbs are going off for people. I know that. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
I know, because I follow you on social media, that recently you've done a little bit of a decluttering yourself. Can you enlighten us? Why should we think about, you know, if we have a cluttered space, whether it's our home, our office, our car, why is that so important for our health that we get rid of that mess?
Two ways. There's usually an internal, external. Oftentimes, your environment reflects you internally,
Yeah.
right? But not always, right? There's some people who actually are internally a mess and they need to have their environment perfectly put together and OCD
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
order for them to feel okay.
Yeah.
But it's worth looking at. Is your environment a mess because you're chaotically? It's the outward expression, but also environment plays a major role in mental health. Major, and we don't talk about this enough in any medicine. Just biophilic environments that take in house or take in environment like plants and more wood in your house allows for your nervous system to have measurable changes in metabolic health, cardiovascular health, cortisol levels, sympathetic balance wherever you're at. And the same goes with clutter. The same goes when you have not only do you have a lot of things in your home, you have a lot of things that are energetically holding a lot of history of
Mm.
things that don't serve you, right? Like, look, when I decluttered, because I moved to the country, and then I was like, I hate it here in the country. I need to move back to the city. But
Really?
when I was coming back to the city, I was coming to a smaller place, and I go, okay, I've done like so many moves in the past 5 years. I've been carrying all of this stuff. I got to get rid of this. So the decluttering is not only cathartic for your life, but it also allows the space for your mind and your eyes to see space. We
Mm.
need spaciousness. We
Mm-hmm.
need spaciousness. To release emotions, we need spaciousness. If you're cluttered every single day and you're coming home, and they did a study on women versus who walk into clutter and perceive their place as cluttered versus not perceiving it as cluttered. The women who come into a cluttered space had higher levels of cortisol every single time.
Uh-huh.
So look, shout out to people who actually say, and I think those posted really well because I guarantee there's people in relationships going, you see, honey, this is what I'm talking about. Clutter is making me stress. I'm not crazy. I told you that it's making me
Yeah.
stress. It
Yeah. Yeah.
actually is. It
Yeah.
actually is. So
Amazing.
what an invitation this is now for everyone to go, okay, look, it's spring going into summer. Now's the opportunity. Look
Mm-hmm.
around and go, 5 second rule, right? If I have this water bottle and I haven't used this water bottle in more than 3 months,
Yeah.
what am I doing with this?
Yes.
If I'm not using it every day, what am I doing with this? Either donate it or throw it away or sell it
Yeah.
or keep it,
Yeah.
right? So make 4 boxes and do those things. And oh my God, people were like, I did this, it changed my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, because energy, feng shui is real. Energy needs to flow in your home space. It needs to be your sanctuary, not a place of stress.
Yeah. I have my own rule, and I think this ties into what you're saying, that if I have an object from the past and for whatever reason, whenever I look at it, it brings back an old, not so great memory, I get rid of it. Like, what's the point of having
Yeah.
it around if it's going to trigger something in me that, or does that say that, there's something deeper that I still got to release in my body in terms of of an emotion? I don't know.
Well, look. If I pick up this water bottle and an ex-girlfriend gave it to me, but it's
Yeah.
a really expensive water bottle and it's really nice, but I haven't used it, subconsciously, why am I not using it anymore? Right? And
Right.
and, and even more consciously, ask yourself, why am I holding on to this? Right?
Uh-huh.
And I found, because I had an ex-partner and we had stuff together,
Yeah.
I still had some of the stuff, and I'm like, oh wow, I can really use this. Even yesterday, I found some stuff, and I was like, oh, this is nice. I can use this for my table next to my bed.
Yeah.
But for me, there's still energy. There's information that is implied when you see objects that are
Yes.
gifted or shared. And notice how cathartic it may be if you throw away those things in relationships that don't serve you. And it will
Mm-hmm.
be cathartic because
Yeah.
you're releasing that energy. Everything is energy. You're
Right.
releasing that. It's a statement to the universe going, I'm letting go. Even
Yes.
if it's a bobby pin that
Yeah.
belonged to her, or a hat that belonged to him,
Yeah.
throw it away. No
Yeah.
more. It's done. It's over.
Okay, good. We're on the same page there. I just wanted to make sure,
Okay.
which is good.
Cool.
And
Cool.
so, what is your method? So, please tell us, for people who haven't seen your post, what is your method to go into, a room of your house? What's your method with the boxes and everything? How do we do this?
So what really helped is I put 4 boxes out: save, throw away, donate, or sell. Right.
Okay.
Like, oh, I brought those 4 boxes. I put 4 boxes in every room, room by room, and I
Yeah.
just said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yes or no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Oh,
yes. Like I was just
like
throwing them
legit
like
5 seconds. Oh my God.
oh, I needed it because I know my mind is strong enough to start rationalizing, going,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh well, maybe I can use this, or
Uh
like
huh.
maybe I could just give it to some. No, it's either I knew what box it was going into, and I was throwing basketball shots of all
Love
the
it.
stuff into these boxes. Right? It
I
was I
love
made it
it.
like a little game.
Yeah.
But after a while, I go, oh my God, like, you know what? It made me realize that I'm abundant. Like, I can let go of
Mm-hmm.
things. I don't have to hold on to things because it's creating space for more flow of energy.
I
So I was
love
like,
that.
whoa,
Yeah.
okay. I can't believe it brought back like these old stories of like, wow, you have to hold on and save because the way you grew up and there was no abundant, like all this stuff. It was like, you're good. And it's such an easy method too.
Oh, I love that. That's amazing. Yeah, we're a basketball family, so I can totally relate there. That's good.
Oh, there you go. You see? There you
Yeah,
go.
uh-huh. That's amazing. Can you give us some more tips? How can we consciously rewire our brains? We know about neuroplasticity, that we know
Mm-hmm.
that our brains can rewire from past emotional dramas, traumas that we've endured,
Mm-hmm.
at any time in our own past. How are there some tips that you can give us that can help to, create healthier connections in our brains and our nervous system?
Yeah, where your neurons are firing, they're gonna start to rewire. Now, again, I bring it back to this because you can't do it from a mental space. It's very difficult. It's very
Yeah.
difficult to every single day you have thousands and thousands and thousands of thoughts for you to be like, oh, why am I thinking this? Let me go back and just reprogram it. It's not a mental process. You need to feel safe in your body so your body can begin to relax, so your mind begins to relax. The body's relaxed, the mind is relaxed. The mind is never relaxed when the body is contracted. So again, it brings us back to the body. The two best things is, yes, meditate. Yes,
Yeah.
leave your body, connect to spirit, do all of the wonderful things you do in the heaven that you experience, but come back into your body and do an equal amount of that energetic meditative work too. By doing this work, you're telling your body safety, safety, safety. Now you have different hormones flowing through your body. Now your inflammation is going down. Now your brain is able to fire and rewire. The brains of meditators change. It's the same thing. You're somatically meditating. You're beginning to loop new roadways in your neurons that are telling your neurons, I'm safer than I think I am. Wow, I'm safe in my body. I'm actually safe with myself. And also now the environment is safe. What I tell all of my students who come through the course, they have homework. They actually have to go up to a stranger once a week,
Oh, yeah.
usually twice a week,
Oh, wow.
and express something from the heart. Express something from the heart that is authentic. Give someone a compliment, give someone love. Why? It's because this is revalidating that the world is safe. For a lot of you listening out there, your experience, you might feel safe in your body because you
Mm,
meditate and do, and like, you dance and you eat well, but you don't feel safe in the world because
mm-hmm.
when you were little, something happened, or when you were a teenager, something happened. So you need to revalidate that experience. It's a matter of I'm safe in my body and the world around me is safe. When you do this, your brain begins to change it's into a new experience. And guess what? You have a new electrical frequency at play. That new electrical frequency at play is changing your life experience. Now you're attracting new people in your life,
Right.
new places, new circumstances. Your reality is changing by virtue of you having a better relationship with self and the environment around you. Two of the most important things we can do.
That's very powerful. That's, yeah, amazing, amazing. So tell us a little bit more about, I know that you train other practitioners. Tell us a little bit
Mhm.
more about some of what you have coming up in terms of courses.
For sure. There's two levels to this course that I do. Okay, it's through elm.health, elm.health, and the first level is for anyone wanting to learn somatic therapies, and they could be anywhere from a neurosurgeon to a mom who is a stay-at-home mom and who was a business student, right? And everything in between. Because if you're identifying yourself as a healer, and a lot of, and you know if you're a healer, if you hold space well, people come to you, you're interested in healing properties, that's important. Then this space is open for anyone to want to learn about somatics, want to learn about the nervous system, want to learn about the fascia, want to learn about the modality in person, how to feel into people and how to help them release emotion. Part two is now we're getting into the coaching practitioner. Now that's in depth. That's deep science-based stuff, gut stuff, nervous system stuff, all the physical health stuff. You're basically a holistic somatic coach. So it's two levels, and the first level is for everyone. If you want to take the second level, that's there too. It's available, and our next cohort is on June 2nd. So we're ready to go. We are ready to go. We're going to be on fire with this one. We have a lot of people. Our first cohort was beautiful. It was, I mean, the testimonials that have come out is this is a new type of medicine. That's what people are saying. And this is how doctors should learn how to heal people. But you don't need to be a doctor. You could just be you.
Right.
That's the irony.
Yeah.
The most healthy medicine is already you. You are the medicine, and we don't realize that. The
Yeah.
authentic expression of who you are through your nervous system is the healthiest version of you. And guess what? That healthiest version of you is the most influential, impactful version to everyone around you, including your immediate family if you're seeing them every single day. So you
Yeah.
want to heal the family, or you want to heal your friends, or you want to heal anyone else, you got to heal. You got to be you. That means visit your body and see the darkest parts of you and see the lightest parts of you, and allow yourself to embody all parts of you without fear. That is called authenticity, and authenticity is health.
So beautiful. Well, I thank you so much for speaking with me today, Dr. Gonzalez. It was truly a pleasure. I know my followers are going to love the fact that, you really delved very deeply into that mind body connection and how that could be, you know, impeding their own health overall. Keep up the great work. Please, everybody, follow Dr. Gonzalez on social media and check out the links. If you are watching this, check out the links that we have in the description as to some of his teachings, his courses, and all of his social media platforms. Make sure that you're following him. I thank you so much for joining me today, and I'm sure we will connect again in the future.
Thank you, Doc. I appreciate you. Thank you, everyone.